Hi and welcome to day 24 of Junk Journal January, which is a really huge collaboration here on YouTube hosted by Meg at Meg Journals. Perhaps you have already heard about this fun thing in January. Perhaps you've also watched the other videos. If not, please check the playlist linked below. The whole January, there are several people here on YouTube who are showing you really fun ideas for your junk journals. And today it's my turn. I was invited by Meg at Meg Journals to join this collaboration, and I have to say I'm a little bit nervous. It's my first time doing this, and there are so many well-known YouTubers, so many great junk journalists in this collaboration that I'm a little bit nervous, but I will try my best to show you an idea that I had in my mind for a very long time and that you can also, of course, do in your own junk journals. And I have a little surprise for you. I will tell you about that later because I've prepared something for you for free that you can use for your own page, similar to what I show in this video. So I would like to take this page in this journal here. And before I start, I have to mention something because there were so many questions about this journal. If I have a flip through of this journal, I have shown this journal in several of my past videos. This is not finished yet, and that's the reason why there's no flip through yet. But when I have finished it, of course, you will see a whole flip through of this journal. For my idea, I will need several pages in my journal. And perhaps if you want to craft along with me, I can tell you some things that I had in my mind before I chose these pages here. So as you can see, we have a relatively neutral page here. I've dyed this with some watercolors, and this little stuff here comes from some coffee. This is, I don't know if the camera can catch that so well, but this is a little bit greenish. Then we have this neutral kind of baking paper. And here we have another page that has also some green. This is a printable from my shop, from my Etsy shop. So I will link this down below for you. But what I want to say is this is green as well. It's not the same green like here, but it's green, and the color palette of these pages here is harmonious. Do you know what I mean? It's not like yellow here and blue here. So perhaps you want to consider that for your own page as well. And this little page here in the middle is a little bit smaller than the others, as you can see, but that really doesn't matter. But we need a page in the middle. And for my idea, it would be good to see this here as one background. And I thought I can perhaps create something today that was some kind of a coincidence. I had a video a few weeks ago where I had created a reversed masterboard. I will link that video down below for you so that you can watch that if you are interested. And there I had speed up part of my video, and I had this little guy here, and I also had some butterflies. And while I had filmed my process, I thought about putting the butterflies here like this. In the end, I ended up with something totally different, but there was a comment why I haven't done it like this. And that brought me to the idea to do it now for this video and to combine those butterfly die cuts here with this little guy. But I also want to use this thing here. And this is what you can get as well as a freebie, so that you can have the chance to create the page that I'm creating in this video. You can get this on my website. The link is down below in the description box. And this is actually a really old painting. I thought about making something where you can see through. And then I thought, yeah, a camera would be totally perfect for that because you look through a camera and then take a photo. That was the original idea. And then I thought where to get a camera that looks a little bit fancy and not so normal, like a photo of a camera would be, yeah, okay, but I wanted to have something a little bit more special. And then I realized that in my very, what is that? In my very first junk journal that you can see here, this is the first journal that I've ever made. This is a journal that documents a trip to Rome. And in this journal, I have not only this really crazy horse here and my hubby, but I also have this page here with this camera. And here I did a really similar thing. Here you can't see through the page, but I've put something into this camera lens here. This little lady that has this coffee cup in her hand, and she enjoys her coffee, obviously. And I've painted this into my journal with watercolors. And then I thought, why not using this camera when I have it here? So I have taken this and I have scanned it in, and then I've manipulated the lens a little bit so that it gets a little bit bigger, because we will need a little bit bigger hole here in a second. So yeah, you can get this for free, as I said. You can print that out, but of course you can also use a photo of a camera or whatever you have at hand. So I'm just cutting this here out, and then you can either glue that down like it is, or decide to make a background and to find the position for the camera later. I will just go around here. I'm thinking of stamping a background that is really floral, but at the same time neutral. Perhaps that makes no sense, but let's see. Okay, so here's the circle. Here's the stamp. Let's try that. And because I want to have this as a background, I'm also not looking for a good stamp impression, like you would put it to a card or something like that. Ooh, turned out better than I thought. If you want to have it abstract, it gets clear. And if you want to have it clear, it gets abstract. But it's totally fine. Ooh, it's totally fine. Oh, that's great. And I think we could perhaps put something white to the background as well, because the white here of the camera is relatively intensive. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, so next we can take the camera image here and glue that down, and then we are going to take this little guy and our butterfly. And I also want to put a little bit of thread behind my arrangement here. And now it looks a little bit like he is flying in the air, because we have nothing here. So I have taken out this little guy here, and I would like to try to make some grass or something like that with this flower. I think this would be totally enough to give him some kind of a ground, but I want to have a second piece of this, or perhaps even a third one, and perhaps we can make that work by putting one here, and perhaps a third one later here or here. So next I want to decorate this inner part here, and for that I want to create a moon. I will go the easiest way by using this moon mask here by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. There are 3 different sizes of moons available in this set, and I will just place this piece behind the lens here like this. And if you don't have this mask, this stencil thingy, then please just use what you have. You could also make a nice pattern into the lens with something else. Yeah, you could stamp or use another stencil or what you have at hand. I'm using frayed burlap distress oxide ink to stencil this. And now, of course, it's a little bit of a problem to stencil here because I don't want to smear the ink to my camera or the butterfly here. So I am trying to get this into the right position. And then turning the page without moving the stencil. And then I can easily bring this pattern here to my page. Just like this. Looks a little bit weird at the moment, I know. Please wait a second. So when we have that, we can check it from here, and I think that looks really great. Yeah, I like that. To make this a little bit more interesting, I'm just putting some water into my hand and then just trying to bring that there like this, and then I will dry that with my heat gun. Next, I'm going to take some peacock feathers distress oxide ink. I'm going to take my frayed burlap again, and I want to make a really abstract galaxy thingy here now, like a, yeah, scenery that is on Earth, because this would be something like an animal that is living on the Earth, but this is the moon. Do you know what I mean? And I want to connect that in some way. So I'm taking the frayed burlap and now this solid circle here, and I'm doing exactly the same thing like before. And I'm going to do that with this third circle here on the bottom as well. And perhaps you see the reason why I have said in the beginning that I have chosen pages that have similar colors because the ink and the background are now like mixing for the eye. So we can still see the original page here and in the other circle there and here in the background. But of course we are going to layer the ink on top of the paper here. And I will do a similar thing on the other page as well, meaning on this page. And to make that look not too weird, I would recommend to use similar colors for those both pages, so that it looks not too crazy in the end. It's more, I think, harmonious and relaxing for the eye when this has similar colors. So now I will do a similar thing on this page here as well. And we have relatively much black here, so I want to put a little bit of black to this page and the other page as well. I will use Black Suit Distress Crayon to do that, and I will just go around these circles here, not completely, but only a little bit, and then I will smear that with my finger, and I realize that that doesn't work, so I will take a blending stump so that I get it only into the circle but not to the outside here. So yeah, it's like this, but I would like to use this area and this area and this and this and this later on as journaling space. So I will not put a collage or stenciling or whatever to that because I want to write here. But we can of course decorate our little journaling spots here a little bit, and I think we can use the same die cut as we've used for the camera. And to make it look a little bit more harmonious and also include this circle into the whole arrangement of these both pages, I want to take another one and put that somewhere here. And in the beginning I said I want to have a page that makes sense like this. So here you have the feeling that you can see this moon thingy through the lens of the camera, but of course I also want to make this page work so that you have the feeling that this circle is not only here because we've cut it out from this page and this is just a, you know, thing that happens when you have a camera here, but I want to have this also, yeah, that it makes sense. I have this little guy here. He also comes from this die cut set, and I'm just thinking of putting him here. Then this would make sense. That's cute. And if we have it like this, and he would be here, then this makes sense as well. Yep, we will do it. And perhaps I should go around with the crayon here as well. That looks totally weird when here's not this kind of black stuff. And here I think we can go a little bit in a different style with these things, like here. Here we've all bent them around the circles and they are round. But why not do the opposite thing here, because this is straight and this is straight, and I think it would be not so bad to have this here. What do you think? And here in my watercolor painting of the camera, there are some tiny turquoise splatters as well. So I think it's a good idea to have some turquoise splatters around the camera in the background as well. It's just the right amount of turquoise, I would say. It's visible, but it's not so bam. But it connects the camera with the background, I would say. I've just taken out my small talk ideology thingy here from Tim Holtz, and there are the quotes available in black and in white, and I'm just thinking we have this pure white strip here. I think it would look great to have a white quote here to make something like this. The first thing that came to my eye is it's always the small pieces that make the big picture. What the heck? I mean, you take a picture with a camera, yeah? That's it. Thank you, Tim. Haha, look here. Choose to see the good stuff. Or I've said it wrong. Choose to see the good stuff. I think that's better. And because see, I mean, here we only look through a circle. We see what's here because of the circle. It's not this camera thingy, but here it's always the small pieces that make the big picture. This fits to the camera really well because it's a camera that takes pictures. But here it's seeing, it's looking through the circle. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's only a teeny tiny, the tiniest detail of all tiny details, but I like to have those things, and I like to think about those things while I'm journaling, because yeah, those details matter. And now there's this one question that always comes to my mind in the end of such a process, and the question is this finished? My grandma always said you have to stop an artwork. So for your information, she has painted with oil paint, and yeah, she was a really great artist, I would say. And she always said you have to stop before you do the last brush stroke. But the difficult thing is to know when that is. I mean, which is the brush stroke before the last brush stroke. But I think here is something that I'm realizing now when I look to the whole page. We have turquoise here. Here there's some turquoise peeking out from this other page that comes here from this page, from this little ruffle here. And also here on the top there's turquoise peeking out, and also here. So the turquoise on this page, I would say, is balanced because we have this focal point with the camera here. We have the turquoise around it. It's like a frame of turquoise. This is totally great. I'm totally happy how this came out. But when I look at this here, this turquoise frame, it's still here because it's exactly the same like here, yeah, because I've just flipped the page. But we have this here that is relatively massive, and it's not so concrete like the camera is here. I mean, the turquoise in the camera, it's a concrete thing because the camera is concrete. But this looks a little bit weird. And because of that, I'm thinking, and that is weird, it feels really weird, I'm thinking of taking the smallest circle from this set of 3 and putting 2 more circles to this page, but in turquoise. Or even, I mean, this is the same size like this, and this is, the hole is a little bit smaller like this. Perhaps we could also do it like this, but I don't want to have it too regular. I mean, here there would be the 2 smaller circles next to each other. That's perhaps also not such a good idea. But perhaps like this, this, and this, and this is not the same size. That's good. And perhaps we can do it like this. Then it's relatively irregular, I would say. So I think that is definitely better. I also think it's good to put this pattern of the moon that we have here, here and here. I think that makes it more harmonious. Yeah. I will just do that. I'm using the frayed burlap ink again. the same like here, but this is not so visible, I can't see it. The frayed burlap is really close to this. Aha. Okay, what to do now? Let's take some texture paste. This is opaque, it's white. We have ink here. That means when I now put that there through the stencil, the texture paste will soak the ink a little bit, because the texture paste is gesso based. That means it will not stay totally white, and I'm hoping, oh, that is way too much, to get more contrast, but the color of the frayed burlap ink. Meaning when this is mixing, it gets lighter, we have the same pattern, more contrast, yeah, and everything like that, what we want here. So when this is dry, it looks like this. And now I'm really happy with this page. Haha. This is really cool, and I really like those different textures. I mean, the texture paste, of course, gives a totally different dimension to this moon here. And with the die cuts, it's also like, you know, dimension. You can feel it. And when you go over this with your fingers, you can feel it as well. And I really like those elements in a journal or on a journal spread. And now this is finished, I would say. Please don't forget to check out the playlist with all of the other videos that are published within this Junk Journal January collaboration. The link is down below in the description box. Have fun with the other Junk Journal ideas as well, and see you the next time. Bye bye.